The cap hummed. 8 large fingers and 2 large thumbs rose from the ends of the chair's broad oak arms and splayed tensely in 10 different directions, their tips jittering. His big knees made caged pistoning motions, but the clamps on his ankles held. Overhead, 3 of the hanging lights blew out. Pow! 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 Marjorie Dederick screamed at the sound and fainted in her husband's arms. She died in Memphis, 18 years later. Harry sent me the obit. It was a trolley car accident. John surged forward against the chest strap. For a moment his eyes met mine. They were aware, I was the last thing he saw as we tilted him off the edge of the world. Then he fell against the seat back, the cap coming askew on his head, a little smoke, a sort of charry mist, drifting out from beneath it. But on the whole, you know, it was quick. I doubt if it was painless, the way the chair's supporters always claim. It's not an idea even the most rabid of them ever seems to want to investigate personally, but it was quick. The hands were limp again, the formerly bluish-white moons at the base of the fingernails now a deep eggplant hue, a tendril of smoke rising off cheeks still wet with salt water from the sponge and his tears. John Coffey's last tears. 11. I was all right until I got home. It was dawn by then, and birds singing. I parked my flivver, I got out, I walked up the back steps, and then the second greatest grief I have ever known washed over me. It was thinking of how he'd been afraid of the dark that did it. I remembered the first time we'd met, how he'd asked if we left a light on at night, and my legs gave out on me. I sat on my steps and hung my head over my knees and cried. It didn't feel like that weeping was just for John, either, but for all of us. Janice came out and sat down beside me. She put an arm over my shoulders. You didn't hurt him any more than you could help, did you? I shook my head no. And he wanted to go. I nodded. Come in the house, she said, helping me up. It made me think of the way John had helped me up after we'd prayed together. Come in and have coffee. I did. The first morning passed, and the first afternoon, then the first shift back at work. Time takes it all, whether you want it to or not. Time takes it all, time bears it away, And in the end there is only darkness. Sometimes we find others in that darkness, and sometimes we lose them there again. That's all I know, except that this happened in 1932, when the state penitentiary was still at Cold Mountain. And the electric chair, of course. 12. Around 2:15 in the afternoon, my friend Elaine Connolly came to me where I sat in the sunroom, with the last pages of my story squared up neatly in front of me. Her face was very pale, and there were shiny places under her eyes. I think she had been crying. Me, I'd been looking. Just that. Looking out the window and over the hills to the east, my right hand throbbing at the end of its wrist. But it was a peaceful throb, somehow. I felt empty, husked out. A feeling that was terrible and wonderful at the same time. It was hard to meet Elaine's eyes. I was afraid of the hate and contempt I might see there, but they were all right. Sad and wondering, but all right. No hate, no contempt, and no disbelief. Do you want the rest of the story? I asked. I tapped the little pile of script with my aching hand. It's here, but I'll understand if you'd just as soon not. It isn't a question of what I want, she said. I have to know how it came out, although I guess there is no doubt that you executed him. The intervention of Providence with a capital P is greatly overrated in the lives of ordinary humans, I think. But before I take those pages, Paul. She stopped, as if unsure how to go on.